Hi, everybody. This is Tom Broussard, Tuesday, July 14th. And we're going to talk today about homework and habit. And homework for people with aphasia, it's more than just homework. It is interesting to me anyway, as a person with stroke and aphasia, to continue to tell you stories about how I got better and how others might also get better. It's also interesting because everything I talk about is therapeutic, not just this conversation here, but everything I did before, everything I did after my stroke were therapeutic. And I'm trying to get into the rhythm working with speech language pathology to help them realize that a lot of what they do has an awful lot to do with us. There isn't anything that a therapist can tell me that I don't already know, right? Prior knowledge is a big issue. I've talked about that before. But what I'm trying to do is have the therapist really realize that everything we do has to do with us. And the therapists are really good at what they do, and what I want them to, quote, also do is help create the environment that we either had before, maybe we didn't use it before, and have the therapist develop the environment such that we, meaning all of us, then build the habits that we need with that environment. That's what we need, I think, from our therapist, but build that environment so that we can actually work off that environment. We have to work on that environment, work off that environment. And that continues to be the issue. So we're going to talk here about homework, and hopefully you can hear what I'm telling you and you go, oh, that's what Tom was thinking about in terms of A, what he was doing, and B, what the therapist could also be doing more than what they're doing now. I had my sessions. I was lucky. I had what we call good insurance. So I got 30 sessions. Some of my friends got 12, 16, 20 sessions. All depends really on your insurance. And I got 30 sessions, which at the time I thought was really good. Each were 30 minutes each. Of course, it wasn't until much, much later when I realized that, do the math, 30 sessions, 30 minutes each, that is 15 hours of therapy. And after years of my, quote, getting better, I realized that 15 hours of therapy is really, it's just the iceberg, except it's the beginning of the tip of an iceberg, long before it gets submerged into what really is going on for a person with a stroke and aphasia. It takes years to work hard on all of this. And the 15 hours of therapy is so precious that's what I'm trying to do, is encouraging the therapist to realize just how precious those 15 hours are and to use it like gold. Because after that, it is over. And even if you do get to go with groups, which I did and still do, you still only have very small amounts of time with the otherwise therapist. The rest of the time, you are your own therapist. And again, that continues to be a huge, huge issue going forward. If it takes you thousands of hours a year to work at any job, then that is thousands and thousands of hours every year that it takes for you to move from wherever you were before, learn new things, adapt, change with plasticity so that you can do much better this year, next year, and the year after that. All of that is you. All of that is you. It has nothing to do with the therapist did, except for that precious 15 hours at the beginning of all of this. So in this case, as an example, and I know I used to call my presentations as 3-minute presentations. Well, now it's more like 15 minutes. So sorry for all that. And also, I got a tie on today. These days, we're on YouTube all the time, on Zoom all the time. All of us are wearing t-shirts, right? I thought, gosh darn, I think it's time for me to start to talk like I was before. I used a tie a lot. When I went to get my graduate school, I actually showed up with a tie every day. I was, of course, as old as most of the professors, and all of my classmates were all much younger. They always thought I was a professor when they would show up, until they realized that I was just like them, just gray hair with a tie. So I decided I'm going to start using shirt and tie with you going forward. And since you only have a couple of different shirts, I have lots and lots of ties. So I'm going to start using different ties, and you'll be able to see how many I have, because I got a bunch. And I'll let you know how many I have after a year or two using completely different ties every single time. And now I've used up a good 5 minutes of my 15-minute work here. So this one has to do with homework. And when I had my therapy, at the end, I would say, what else should I do? And she said, well, here's a little homework. It's just a little, it's okay. And I would go home and I would do it. Religiously, I would do it. My sessions were usually Monday and Thursday. And I would do my homework on Monday. And then there was Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay, finally, Thursday, I'm going to have sessions again. But then we'd be done. I do my homework Thursday night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Finally, get to Monday, get to go back to my therapist. And within literally days, if not a week or two, I began to realize the absence of homework, even the absence of therapy. Not that I knew that any of this was therapeutic, because at the beginning, you really don't understand what's going on. You're just going to do what they're telling you to do. But I always liked homework, even as a kid. So it became a habit for me going forward. Didn't realize how therapeutic it would be. But when I began to realize fairly quickly that I could tell that there was an absence of the need to do therapy and the homework, that need allows you to become and understand and realize and see the urge to do those things. And I started looking for homework on my own. Nobody told me to do that. Nobody ever will. That's sort of an issue, right? They're never going to tell you, okay, Tom, go home and work like a dog and get all this done. Interestingly, you have to go home and work like this and work hard so you'll get better. But they're not going to tell you that. You have to create, they have to help you create that environment that allows you to go back to what your habits were before and use those habits going forward. In my case, it was my habit of liking homework. Sorry, I must have been, I like being a nice little kid and doing what you're told to do, including do your homework and do more than your homework. It just became my habit. So I knew it, I could feel it, and I started doing more homework on my own. It wasn't until years later when I realized that the way I got better was starting with those habits way at the very beginning and becoming more persistent, repetitive about the activities I was doing. And it really didn't matter what those activities were. I had my computer, I had what my therapist had given me, but I came up with new things to do, including walking in my neighborhood, which you have seen before, and being able to actually see signs, that some signs I could understand and some signs that I couldn't, and beginning to realize as a problem-solving tool, I could understand that I could read them, but couldn't read those. And that meant, oh, that means I can read. There's something else that keeps me from reading that, but I can read this. And there had to have been a reason. So again, becomes the habitual tools that the therapist would begin to realize if they were to change and realize that those precious minutes, hours that they have with us is to help create the environment so that when we are, quote, done and they go off, because, you know, she might have 10, 15, 20 clients on, all the time, we come and go. When we leave, we have to be ready to go into this new world of a person with stroke and aphasia, unable still to read, write, and speak well. And now with this little amount of gold, we have to go forward to do what we could do. We need to build that environment and or use what you would use before. And in my case, I used a lot of what I used before, like a lot of people. You know, you don't just come up with these habits overnight. It takes a long time. Most of it we got from before. And if you just start to use those habits going forward, that can help you get better without yet knowing that what you are doing is therapeutic. I know it's an odd thing to do, to encourage people to do things that will let you get better, even though you don't know you're going to get better. But it's the old build it and they will come. That's a good way to think about that. A lot of people do build it and the recovery will come without even knowing that all that building is what we had to do. But the homework cannot be easy. That's not to say we're going to tell you that it's going to be hard, but if you build the habit that you had before or using more of that to realize, oh, I should do this every week because maybe somebody has told me that if I do these things every day, I will get better, because nobody will tell you that either necessarily. So that was a large part of this homework, being the process itself. It really didn't matter what kind of homework I was doing. I devised my own. As I saw what they did and didn't work for me, then I could tell that there was something wrong. That was homework of its own kind. But every time I did it, I didn't realize that that was the process, not the materials themselves going forward. And as I went through all of this, and now as I try to create the stories that allows both you, meaning you, stroke, and people with aphasia, as well as the therapist who do everything they can to work with us, but they need to know more from a person with aphasia that can otherwise articulate for them, the people with aphasia and the therapist, that we need to understand, adapt, and begin to work with these otherwise habits that otherwise wouldn't necessarily known that would be therapeutic. But as a story or as a metaphor, I began to think about these spinners when we were kids. Everybody has a spinner in your neighborhood, and you know how you spin it around. I don't know if you can actually see it, but if you can get to my website, you get to see that's what a spinner looks like. And all of us, as a kid, we get them up to speed, and then usually you have lots of kids playing, or maybe the parents would be there, older kids, and soon once it's spinning, everybody's on it. Then the other one, the only one on the outside with the motive force, right, to use the therapeutic words, to push it, and then they'd talk to somebody else, push it, talk, push it. You didn't take much to have it keep on spinning, right? So metaphorically, I thought, oh, that's what homework should be. If you only get 2 therapists, 2 sessions once a week, and if you get 2 homework sessions during the week, then in between, there's not enough energy, not enough force to push, in this case, pushing the spinner as well as pushing the language to create and induce plasticity, which is the capacity that it has to grow new brain matter. So if there's not a push, this is the push, but it dies down. You get to therapy, start again, oh, it dies down. You need the homework as one of the many tools to continue the push. So you get pushed, dies down, but oh, push, dies down, oh, push, goes down. And soon that becomes the persistent, repetitive push that allows homework to be much more than just homework. Homework then is not the run-of-the-mill homework. It can't be an option. It can't be an afterthought. It is not unlike when President Kennedy, it's been on the commercials all the time about we wanted to go to the moon, and we would do it not because it was easy, because it's hard. When we need to get our language back, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be hard. And I don't want to beat anybody to go do these things because as a result, you're beaten. I don't mean to do that at all. What I really need to do is encourage and investigate who you were before, whoever you are, has built you to who you are today. Look for those tools that allow you to be who you are today and use those same tools to go forward. You can't do a whole lot with your 15 hours with therapy, but you can do a lot with the direction and ideas and clues that they provide you, so that when you go forward, part of what we have to understand is we need to find out who we were before, take those tools and go forward and do it every single day. I would say for the rest of your life, but if you're perfectly healthy and you're a lifelong learner, and even if you're not, you ought to be, then all that means is you live your life trying to learn every day going forward. And it's not like you can stop not learning on any given day, right? Every single day you encounter with the world outside that is anyway new, and every day you open your eyes, there's something new to see. That means you are learning. And that means that you cannot not learn. So homework is more than just homework. And homework is a large component, I think, of people with stroke and aphasia who work with their therapist and induce plasticity on a day-to-day basis, not just once or two times a week, so that the metaphorically, so that playground spinner continues to spin on day one. And it doesn't have to be easy. And it doesn't have to be hard. But you have to figure out who you were before that allows you to spin starting on day one. Thank you very much. Have a good week. I will see you in 2 weeks with a new tie. And in the meantime, have a great aphasia day with you and your groups and your therapist and your family and your friends and your habits. It's all how it works. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good week. See you soon. Bye-bye. Take care.